I'm Mark Spawn for the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police. Welcome to our series on sex offender management. In this podcast, we'll talk about vulnerable entities and community notification, two of the items within the sample policy that you can find on our website at nychiefs.org. Is your agency in compliance with Section 168L of the Correction Law? That's the section that requires agencies to have a listing of vulnerable entities within their jurisdiction. So exactly who is a vulnerable entity? The law specifies superintendents of schools or chief school administrators, superintendents of parks, public and private libraries, school bus transportation companies, daycare centers, nursery schools, preschools, neighborhood watch groups, community centers, civic associations, nursing homes, victim advocacy groups, and places of worship. These are the entities that must be included, but there may be others in your jurisdiction that don't appear in that list. You can make your own assessment of who is considered a vulnerable entity relating to the nature of an offense committed by a sex offender. If your department does not have a listing of vulnerable entities, check out a sample policy on our website at nychiefs.org. Go to the Model Policy tab. You'll find a template that can guide you in developing and maintaining a list. Even if your department does not provide community notification, you should have this listing on file. Now, let's talk about community notification. First, who gets the notice? This is where your vulnerable entity listing comes into play. The law enforcement agency having jurisdiction where the offender resides and the agency having had jurisdiction at the time of conviction may release information to vulnerable entities. Next, what information can be released? This will depend on the risk level of the offender. Generally speaking, follow the instructions in the notification you receive from DCJS. For some offenders, you may be able to release an exact street address, but for others, you might not. And in the case of an offender with a P or pending status, the law enforcement agency will not be able to release any information. In those cases, you could refer questions to the registry's toll-free line. When should you make community notification? The law is silent on this, but as a best practice, the sooner the better. And finally, how can sex offender information be provided? There are a number of ways. Some agencies may keep a file folder at their station, others hand deliver or mail notices, and others use web-based and other specialized programs for the maintenance of their own records, as well as making notifications to the public. Check out our other podcasts for more information about sex offender management. I'm Mark Spawn for the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police.